Welcome back to Seriously Funny. I'm your host, Mashnor Kabir, and I am a simulation. This week on the podcast, we talk about how nothing matters. Have we talked about this before? Of course we have. Is this the start to my downfall or to the downfall of my creativity? Of course not. That started happening about 40 episodes ago, but this week we'll specifically go over how some things in life don't matter, almost universally. And when you realize that these things don't matter, it'll either make you calmer, remove the stress or some stress and or anxiety from your life, or give you some peace. Maybe all of the above. We'll see. And so before we start, make sure you hit the buttons, but most of all, share this podcast. Tell your friends to give it a listen. It is the best way for us to grow this podcast, and it super helps me out. Thank you. If you work on something, a podcast, for instance, maybe you're cooler than me and you have a business, a YouTube channel, a degree. Maybe you're an electrical and computer engineering student barely getting by and you're depressed because you don't know why you're there. Couldn't relate to that one. Yeah. Anyways, sometimes you do something, and this really goes more so for people that it's going well for, especially for rather than for people that are failing in college, such as myself. But if you have this sudden thought, especially if things start going well very quickly, a little prey or a little parasite gets into your brain and plants this nice thought. I'm like super in a rush and I'm messing up all my words because I got to record like 78 episodes today and I'm just rough, okay? I got a bunch of things to do. Why is the contrast so stark today? This little parasite gets into your brain and it plants this little thought. Why you? And I call it a parasite because the more things go well, every time a positive thought even shows an inkling of showing up, the parasite throws the phrase at you. Why you? What makes you worthy of this success? What makes you qualified to do this? Can you even do this? What if you fail everyone? What if everyone realizes you're an imposter? The parasite is more commonly known as imposter syndrome. People that find themselves in a successful position will often struggle with this parasite. They'll think why they were the ones that succeeded. They'll wonder if they're good enough. They'll wonder when the universe will realize that they're just playing YouTuber. They're just playing entrepreneur. And when the universe does realize this, how everything will fall apart. Everyone will stop watching your YouTube videos, listening to your podcast, being your friend, investing in your company, watching your stream, whatever it may be. Imposter syndrome makes you think that you're not enough, you're not worthy, but it does it in a very, very clever way. Instead of telling you directly that you're not enough, it asks questions like, why you? Instead of saying everyone is going to leave one day, it asks, what will people do when they find out you're a fraud? It glazes over whether or not you actually are or aren't a fraud and just asserts it. And most people aren't quick enough to catch this little trick. Either they're not rhetorically skilled enough or they just don't have enough self-awareness of their own mind and the way that their own mind is interpreting things and running things and the way the things that it does. Because generally, most of our lives, most of all humanity's history, all we wanted to do was have our brain work in the background, right? Let it run whatever it needs to run. Let it do what it needs to do. Nowadays, we have to actually think personally. Crazy. Not a fun time overall. Maybe we should stop doing that. But, most people just aren't well versed enough in their own mind to catch themselves doing these things. Imposter syndrome is quite interesting, really. You find success, things are going well, and in that moment, your brain just wants to ruin it. What the frick, man? Your brain, for some reason, wants to plant self-doubt in you, make you second-guess all your decisions, even decisions you could easily make when you were less successful. Now they're hard. Now you don't know if the answer is right anymore, and you keep plugging it into the calculator. But then you wonder if you're using the right equation. Are you reading the question right and plugging in the right numbers? It makes you ask all of these mentally draining questions. More than anything, it sucks. That should have been my catchphrase. It sucks. Maybe we'll rename the podcast from Seriously Funny to just It Sucks, because I say it so much. But it really makes you question your worth, your value, your place in this existence. And God forbid that you're a good person, because when you think about the other people who work just as hard, if not harder than you, who didn't make it, and you see yourself who did make it, you really wonder why it wasn't that person, why you were the chosen one. And it's hard. It really is. I've seen people experience it. I've seen it tear through people's mental, people who were very talented and very capable. They were very hurt by imposter syndrome. And some of your favorite content creators, maybe celebrities, probably have felt this if they haven't talked about it, which a lot of content creators do talk about this, and this feeling of imposter syndrome, especially the ones that like rose to fame very suddenly. Even if they were working for a long time, it's like a graph like this and then boom, right? And so those they'll talk about it and be like, hey, I don't know what happened. I don't know how it happened. I don't really know if I'm supposed to be here, right? And that's the things they talk about. And I want to give one solution, which is the hard one. It's the enlightenment one, the one you don't want to hear because it's too hard. But I'm going to start with this one just so I can tease you a bit. Give you a semi-chub before I go all the way. The solution I mentioned briefly, I'm just like sensually rubbing my microphone here. So the solution I mentioned briefly a second ago. Get very, very good at recognizing your own mind and seeing how it works, how it moves, how it does things. Once you realize these things, the patterns of your own mind, once you are so good at noticing and observing your mind that it's like you're an external observer to the workings of your mind, then you can understand what it is, what it's doing. You can understand where things are coming from. You will be able to grab the parasite by the throat the moment it tries to enter your mind. And if you have a full awareness of your mind, and of course, you know how to do this at this point, right? I've talked about it so many times. How do you get a full awareness of your mind? Say it with me. You meditate like Dora the Effing Explorer, right? Come on. If you didn't know I was going to say that, then you should go listen to all the prior episodes of this podcast. I would say the number, but I'm just still deciding on whether or not this episode is going to be vaulted or not, which I think it will be. This episode, where am I? So there's a shot you might be hearing this many weeks later than I recorded, which you probably will. I'm just going to put this in a little safe so that if one day I either need to take a break for some emergency reason, I never have to skip. But I'm also going to record another one of those. So a lot of work today for me, and I want to try to edit both of them and have them unlisted or privated on the YouTube and the Anchor. So it's going to just freaking F me. But tying back to the episode, here's the thing. If you're doing something, business, YouTube channel, podcast, stream, OnlyFans, I don't know, and you're finding success in the sector that you're creating in, the thing about being worthy, the thing about being a fraud, the thing about being good enough, honestly, it doesn't matter at all, really. No one cares about what you think about yourself. No one cares about whether or not you think you deserve it, nor do they care if you do or you don't deserve it. Unless you're at Elon Musk levels of wealth, the only people complaining about you not deserving your success are people that probably won't do anything ever significant in their lives, to put candidly. They just want to be upset at something or someone for doing and achieving. That's their problem, right? Not yours. But honestly, whether you do or don't deserve, whether you are or aren't a fraud, whether you are or aren't capable, none of it really matters. Here's the thing. Sometimes some people do get lucky. It's just a fact. It happens. And maybe you didn't do anything significant to get the success that you did. Does that make you a fraud? Maybe. But again, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you're creating something, you're doing something, and whether you got lucky or you worked hard or both, the problem isn't, quote, feeling good enough, end quote. The problem is keep it up, right? You shouldn't be wasting any mental energy in any form wondering if you're good enough. You should be wondering, how do I keep going? And how do I keep this going? If you don't think you're capable, whatever, just learn more, become capable, right? If you're where am I? It's fine. Maybe you'll trip here and there, but don't lose sight of the goal, the reason that you're creating, the reason that you're doing whatever you're doing. Whether you're wearing a false mustache, whether you're making your voice deeper in investor meetings to sound older, no one cares. People care about the product. So just worry about your product, right? If I were a bit more mean, I would keep it $1.50 and say it's not about you. It's about what you're making. It has nothing to do with you. I guess if you're a YouTuber, you are the brand, right? So me being funny, me making some of the jokes I make, so a little bit about me because my personality is the thing that I'm marketing with. But nuances, right? Who cares about those? Don't worry about being good enough. Just worry about creating the best product you can create for the reason that you want to create it. It's not your job to think about something not working. Your job is to do the thing. Keep your focus on doing the thing. And for those of you that are thinking you're so ultra clever and you're saying, oh, but don't I need to think about whether or not I'll succeed, or if I'm capable of making good decisions to make something succeed or to make good decisions? Absolutely not. Nuh-uh. Nope. No, not important. Not necessary. You just keep doing. Okay. Don't think about the future any more than laying a roadmap. Right now, do your work. Don't think about homework 8 when you're not done with homework 5. Okay. And hey, sometimes things don't work out. Sometimes you fail. All right. Sick. You learned a bunch of stuff. Let's try again. Maybe if you're feeling spicy, you want to try a different medium. Who knows? Whether, whatever. It doesn't matter. And now on to the next thing that doesn't matter. Ooh, I have mango juice today instead of coffee because I've been drinking probably too much coffee. But mango juice is also pretty good. Granted, this one's watered down a bit. I might have put too much ice in it. I'm probably going to go over time on this episode, so I'll keep the next two points a bit more brief. I've been going over time for the past, I think, like 3 weeks. So goodness gracious. Well, past 3 weeks in my time. I just finished recording episode 93, and that all got finished and stuff like 2 days ago. So I don't know what episode this one is, but I was going over back then, back in the day. I don't know when this might get uploaded in like 2 weeks. Who knows? Maybe something goes completely awry. But there are 2 other points that I have. I really wanted to talk about imposter syndrome, so that's why that one was a bit longer. But there are 2 other points I have here for things that don't matter. And the second is the future. You've heard me talk about this before, but the future doesn't matter. Actually, this was way back in one of my first episodes, back when I didn't edit the podcast before I posted it. I think I'm actually going to make another episode on this soon, but well, I guess there's a point right here, right now. Who knows? Maybe I'll have to reconsider that episode. Back in the days of my first episode, when I didn't edit the podcast before I posted it, when there's no script, I went for 40 minutes to an hour on purpose, and I stumbled my way through it. The good old days, really. But before, I had to edit video versions for 3 hours that got no views. Yeah, I just had to upload an audio version with Windows default video editor in like 30 minutes tops. Even while writing this, I'm still waiting for one of my episodes to finish processing. It was quite a time. I don't know, man. There's freaking present tense, past tense, future tense, all the same thing, really. My good memories of being lazy aside, one of the funnier philosophies that I hold, just because it's entertaining, is the idea that the future doesn't exist, because this could all be over in an instance, right? And the past could be completely made up. There's a shot that you were created 2 minutes ago and all of your memories are just planted in your brain. You can't prove that you can't prove that theory wrong now, can you? Right? There's no way to do that. The past is made up. The future doesn't exist. All that leaves you with is right now, right here, in this moment, with me. You're welcome. That's the only thing that you know to be true for a fact, as well as this podcast, that this is also very, very true. Make sure you share it with everyone else so they also know the truth. Why did I suddenly think about Club Penguin? I'm just recording this podcast here, trying to live my life, and then out of nowhere, I'm like, yo, maybe I should go play Club Penguin and get another puffle. Goodness, what happened? What triggered that memory? Goodness, maybe... Club Penguin wasn't real, okay? I hope I start a cult one day. That would be awesome. That's really what I want to do. What was I even saying before where did this come from? Yeah. The only thing you know to be true for a fact, as well as this podcast, this is what I just said. Yeah, and then I said, make sure that you share this podcast with everyone so they also know the truth. I hope I can start a cult one day. There we go. Now the joke makes sense, but it all got ruined because of a stupid effing memory of Club Penguin. What the frick, man? Anyways, cult one day. That would be awesome. Share this podcast so we can have a cult one day. All right? Thank you. Anyways, the future is useless. Kind of. Of course, you should have some manner of plan, at least a tentative plan, so that, because it's all gonna fall apart one day. All right, you're gonna make a plan. Anytime you ever make a plan, it's all just gonna go to crap. All right, it's crap. All of it going to crap. All right, but Probably good to have a tentative one, so that if you're if you're completely living an automated day because one day you just want to mentally check out, it happens to the best of us. Must be nice. I've meditated so much that I literally cannot dissociate enough. I'm not present enough to be enlightened, but I'm present. I'm too present to dissociate. It's a really depressing middle point I'm at here, but the future doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you do tomorrow, a day that may never come. What matters is what you do today. And if your actions today are for a result tomorrow because you want to believe that the world won't end tomorrow, which is probably smart, maybe don't live every day like it'll be your last day, okay? Because that probably wouldn't be the best idea in the world, unless you're a super good person that will only do lawful things in their last day. But if you're living in society as a human being, probably a good idea to assume I will wake up tomorrow, probably. Tomorrow doesn't matter. The future doesn't matter. The past, it doesn't matter. None of this matters. All that matters is right now. That's the point of this episode. So I might as well say that. Unless you want to be a monk, that this doesn't exactly apply to you because apply to you completely at least. Because again, unless you're super ballsy, super brave, and kind of an insane person, you won't live your life genuinely like it's the last day. Unless you have a terminal illness, in which case, have fun, don't kill anyone. Cheers. All right. The last thing, I have 7 minutes. Probably maybe something will get cut out. Who knows? Maybe I'll make time. No, we'll make time. It's gonna be fine. This is gonna be the first 20-minute episode in like 78 weeks. Okay. All right, the last thing I have on the list that doesn't matter is pretty niche. I don't know how many people worry about this or think about this or interact with this at all, really. But the last thing that I have here, the last thing that I would say just doesn't matter at all, literally everything. None of this matters. Come on. I'm a nihilist. You know who you're listening to. None of this does anything. None of it means anything. None of it matters. We're all just space dust. Okay, who knows? Look, in life, I'm gonna borrow from Mark Manson here. You have a limited number of F's to give. I tried so hard to find the quote in the book, but I couldn't find it. It was very sad. Your attention, your focus, the eggs that you have to put in baskets, they're finite. Honestly, there's not as many as you might think there are. You don't have that many eggs. You're not a chicken, you're a human. The entire world wants some of these eggs. Some of these F's from you, okay? They want you to give a F about their thing. If I go into marketing, my job is to make you put your eggs into the company I'm working for as a basket. YouTube, TikTok, whatever else it may be, all of these things want your attention, your watch time. They want you to give a F. The news, they want you to give a F. Everyone that talks to you, they want you to give a F. But here's the really cool thing. It doesn't matter. None of it at all. All of it matters equally, and all of it doesn't matter equally. Your future career, your friends' problems, Apple's events, okay, that does matter. So does this podcast. Both of those things matter. Everything else, though, they don't matter. Speaking of an Apple event, when I'm recording this, March 8th, Apple's having an event right now today. So you weren't there for this is probably long past, but man, I'm sure it'll be great. It's in like 2 hours here. Not even 2. No, 2 hours. 2 hours. I lied. It's like 10:48. The event is 1 p.m. Eastern time. But even though they don't matter, even though things don't matter, whatever, nothing matters, great. Even though they're all equally useless, you still have those F's to give. You have them. You have the eggs. Theoretically, I guess you could not give any F's at all ever, but you have this limited amount. I'm not telling you not to care about anything and act like an edgy high schooler. Please don't do that. I'm telling you that you have a very limited number of things that you can viably care about, at least unless you want to stretch yourself way too thin and get mad at everything. But you probably should care about your career. You probably should care about your friends and loved ones. You probably should care about your health. You definitely should care about Apple events and this podcast. But maybe you shouldn't care about what Jimmy in the office said about your shirt yesterday, okay? Maybe you shouldn't care about how people that you're never going to see again think of you. Maybe you shouldn't care about the mean people, the negative energy, as a hippie like me would say. Maybe you shouldn't care about anything. I literally just said not to do that, so don't listen to me. One mistake I think a lot of people make is that they try and give too many F's about too many things. I give an F about becoming more enlightened, about learning stuff, this podcast, my YouTube channel, and getting a job. That's about it. If you give too many Fs away, you'll be stretched thin. You'll get aggravated a lot quicker, you'll have less control over yourself, and overall, it won't be a good time. Be deliberate with the Fs that you give, because you have a limited number. But the cool thing is that nothing matters at all. So you get to choose whatever you want to give an F about, and no one can tell you that you're wrong for choosing that thing to give an F about. What's important to you doesn't have to be important to other people, and what's important to other people doesn't have to be important to you. Play your game and let others play theirs. You'll meet people who give Fs about similar things as you, and they'll become your friends. It'll be great. I'll probably keep talking about this in the future, but yeah, limited amount of Fs to give. Think about what you really care about. Laugh at the things that you don't. I'd recommend you don't care about people being rude. All right, just let me be a jerk to you, right? I hopefully hit time there. I think I did. So recording, I'm at 22 minutes here, but then things will get cut out. So hopefully I won't end up under 20. Hopefully I'm at 20. This is the first episode in a while where I'm like on time. But yeah, I don't really have an outro for this episode since, like I said, this is a vaulted episode. So that means that I'm going to record it just so I can keep it. And if anything ever happens, maybe I sound depressed again, then I can just post this episode instead of stumbling through an episode or being unable to make an episode. And so I'm just going to keep this in a safe somewhere on some hard drive that I put in like a Panama bank or something. I'm recording this episode right after I recorded episode 93, which was, I literally recorded this 2 days ago and I don't remember what I talked about. This is great. This is just absolutely wonderful. I don't remember what I was talking about. Probably something profound, I'm sure. But I don't know when this one will be released, so I don't have any music, anime, or manga news to share with you since I'm past Mashnor, which is a bit weird because I said the past might not be real. But hey, let's not break our brains too much, right? Wrong pipe. Rambling aside, I'll leave it here. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Seriously Funny. I will talk at you next week. Much love. Nothing matters. Peace.